शरण संरक्षक आत्मज्ञान प्रदाता। आओ गुरुदेवा दर्शन दीजो, तुम हो जगत दाता, तुम हो जगत दाता। आओ गुरुदेवा दर्शन दीजो, तुम हो जगत दाता, तुम हो जगत दाता, हो जगत दाता, तुम हो जगत दाता, तुम हो जगत दाता। अंगवदनानंद सदना मातंगवदनानंद सदना महादेव शिव शंभो नंदन महादेव शिव भो नंदन मातंगवदनानंद सदना मातंगवदनानंद सदना माय विनाशक मूषिकावाहन माय विनाशक मूषिकावाहन माय विनाशक मूषिकावाहन माय विनाशक मूषिकावाहन माता महेश्वरी भवानी नंदन माता महेश्वरी भवानी नंदन महागणपते मंगल चरण महागणपते मंगल चरण महागणपते मंगल चरण महागणपते मंगल चरण मातंगवदनानंद सदना मातंगवदनानंद सदना माय विनाशक मूषिकावाहन माय विनाशक मूषिकावाहन माय विनाशक मूषिकावाहन माय विनाशक मूषिकावाहन माता महेश्वरी भवानी नंदन माता महेश्वरी भवानी नंदन महागणपते मंगल चरण महागणपते मंगल चरण महागणपते मंगल चरण महागणपते मंगल चरण मातंगवदनानंद सदना मातंगवदनानंद सदना आनंद सदना आनंद सदना। कृष्ण मुकुंद जनार्दना कृष्ण गोविंद नारायण हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण मुकुंद जनार्दना कृष्ण गोविंद नारायण हरे अच्युतानंद गोविंद माधव अच्युतानंद गोविंद माधव, अच्युतानंद गोविंद माधव, अच्युतानंद गोविंद माधव, सच्चिदानंद नारायण हरे, सच्चिदानंद नारायण हरे, कृष्ण कृष्ण मुकुंद जनार्दन, कृष्ण गोविंद 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 नारायण हरे, अच्युतानंद गोविंद माधव, अच्युतानंद गोविंद माधव, अच्युतानंद गोविंद माधव, अच्युतानंद गोविंद माधव, सच्चिदानंद नारायण हरे, सच्चिदानंद नारायण हरे, कृष्ण कृष्ण मुकुंद जनार्दन, कृष्ण गोविंद 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 नारायण हरे, अच्युतानंद गोविंद माधव, अच्युतानंद गोविंद माधव, अच्युतानंद गोविंद माधव, अच्युतानंद गोविंद माधव, सच्चिदानंद नारायण हरे, सच्चिदानंद नारायण हरे, कृष्ण कृष्ण मुकुंद जनार्दन, कृष्ण गोविंद नारायण हरे, कृष्ण कृष्ण मुकुंद जनार्दन, कृष्ण गोविंद नारायण हरे, कृष्ण गोविंद नारायण हरे, कृष्ण गोविंद नारायण हरे। सहना भवतु, सहनौ भुनक्तु, सह वीर्यं करवावहै, तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। शांति शांति शांति। Together we will chant chapter 3 Bhagavad Gita verses 1 to 10, please. Together we will chant Bhagavad Gita verses 1 to 10, chapter 3 Karma Yoga. Shri Arjuna Uvacha Jyayasi Chet Karmanaste mata buddhirjanardana tatkim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava vyamishreneva vakyena buddhim mohayasiva me तदेकं वद निश्चित्य येन श्रेयोऽहमाप्नुयाम् श्रीभगवानुवाच लोकेऽस्मिन् द्विविधा निष्ठा पुरा प्रोक्ता मया नघ ज्ञानयोगेन साङ्ख्यानां कर्मयोगेन योगिनां न कर्मणामनारम्भान् नैष्कर्म्यं पुरुषोऽश्नुते न च सन्न्यसनादेव सिद्धिं समधिगच्छति न हि कश्चित् क्षणमपि जातु तिष्ठत्यकर्मकृत् कार्यते ह्यवशः कर्म सर्वः प्रकृतिजैर्गुणैः कर्मेन्द्रियाणि संयम्य य आस्ते मनसा स्मरन् इन्द्रियार्थान् विमूढात्मा मिथ्याचारस्य उच्यते यस्त्वेन्द्रियाणि मनसा नियम्यारभतेऽर्जुन कर्मेन्द्रियैः कर्मयोगम् आसक्तः स विशिष्यते नियतं कुरु कर्म त्वं कर्म ज्यायो ह्यकर्मणः शरीरयात्रापि च ते न प्रसिद्ध्येद कर्मणः यज्ञार्थात् कर्मणोऽन्यत्र लोकोऽयं कर्मबन्धनः तदर्थं कर्म कौन्तेय मुक्तसङ्गः समाचर सह यज्ञा प्रजा सृष्ट्वा पुरोवाच प्रजापतिः अनेन प्रसविष्यध्वम् एषवोऽस्विष्ठकामधुक्. We have been studying the intellectual appeal for action, the topic of the chapter 3 Karma Yoga, wherein we have covered the previous class, the verse number 8, wherein performing the obligatory action, obligatory duty and responsibility for action is superior to inaction. So this is the verse we covered in the previous class, in the last class, wherein the activity is better than not doing anything, inaction. And even to maintain your physical health, the body to be normal, to be healthy, you would not be possible. It would not be possible without action. You cannot be inactive if the body need to be healthy and preserved. Therefore, doing obligatory duties and responsibilities is better than not doing any activity, which is inaction, which is spells disaster, death. So that is what we have studied, and we also covered what are the obligatory functions come under for human being. Human being supposed to perform actions which are called obligatory functions. The obligatory functions come under the the idea of duties and responsibilities called niyatam karma. So this niyatam karma is of two types. One is nitya karma, second one is naimittika karma. Nitya karma means regular routine duties. Naimittika karma means occasional special duties. Both put together is called niyatam karma, means obligatory functions human being supposed to perform. Means he is supposed to follow like the river which is constantly traveling towards the ocean. No matter whatever the obstacle or obstruction encountered by the river will never stops its journey towards the ocean. Similarly, as a human being, until you reach the ultimate state of enlightenment, you must be engaged in obligatory functions, means the duties and responsibilities which are in this daily regular routine duties or occasional special duties, which is naimittika karma. So these are the two things which one must perform, means whatever the duties which you have to do every day, like taking care of the exercises, morning waking up and study the scriptures and do physical fitness and all the associated the activities of taking care of the food, preparing the food or other functions of the taking care of the household chores. All these things come under the daily regular routine duties. And naimittika karma is the occasional special duties, the duties which you have to perform when there is an occasion like a festival or a visitor visiting your home, or any kind of sudden visitation of any kind of obligation which may need to take care of the hospital or another other works of whatever sudden visits. So these two are must for a human being to be evolving towards the highest state of peace and bliss. In each case, one must obey your inner conscience and conviction. So you must follow your conscience and conviction. Both come under, once you follow the duties, responsibilities based on your conviction or conscience, whenever you have a doubt, you can consult, then you will be able to perform right action. So the conscience within acts as the final determinant to right action, because the action has to follow your intellectual conviction or your conscience, which is your inner voice, which is always perfect and guide you in right direction. That's why you have to follow that for the evolution towards the self. So action is a must, inaction is death. So you must perform your obligatory functions in life. That's what we covered thoroughly in the verse number 8, what we covered in the previous class. Now we are going to study 9th verse. We chant first. Yajñarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tatartham karma kaunteya mokta sangas samachara. Yajñarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sanga samachara. This world is bound by action. The karmanaha of action. This world is bound by action. Mukta sangaha, free from attachment. So this world is bound by action, means karma bandhanaha. So every human being is bound by action. This whole world is binding you by activities, by duties and responsibilities. Whatever you are performing, you are bound. This world is bound by action other than those performed for the sake of yajna. Yajna is introduced here by Lord Krishna. Yajna in terms of meaning sacrifice. O Kaunteya means Kunti Putra. This world is bound by action other than those who are those performing the activities for the sake of yajna. O Kaunteya, perform action for that sake, perform activities for the sake of yajna, then you bound to be free from the attachment to action to this world. You become truly achieving the freedom only when you perform your activities in the form of, in the spirit of yajna, means sacrifice. Lord Krishna advising Arjuna, introducing this concept of yajnam. So yajnam is not, it's like doing something great, something nobler. It is just an attitude in life. The purpose of your action is to dedicate something higher, something beyond your ego and egocentric desires. You perform action for the achievement of the self, for reaching the Supreme God, the Atman. Then that particular action, whatever may be the action, it becomes yajna, it becomes sacrifice. This must be understood. So this world is bound by action. Every human being is helplessly acting, but the actions are binding them because the modus operandum is egoistic, selfish, self-centered activities. Therefore, those actions binding everybody to the world. But the way you perform action advised by Krishna is those who perform in the spirit of service and sacrifice their actions, they alone gets freedom from this world, freedom from the attachment to this world. This is what Krishna advising and telling, oh Kaunteya. Kaunteya means Kunti Putra. Kunti Putra, Kunti is the mother of Arjuna, who is the greatest devotee of Lord Krishna, who lived the life of service and sacrifice, who is always thinking in terms of reaching the Supreme Self rather than interested in personal selfish interest. Therefore, Krishna advising Arjuna, Kunti Putra, people the world over, all over the world, if you observe, they are all bound and fettered, bound and tormented by the selfish and self-centered activities. Every human being executing actions for what one get benefit out of that action, what I receive that from that action. This is the attitude. That is the nature of whole world. Such activities are said to be opposed to yajnam. That opposite to yajnam means selfless actions versus selfish actions. So yajna in this context means sacrificial activities dedicated to the higher cause, a nobler ideal, a purpose, a goal which is beyond your personal selfish and self-centered interests. which is the welfare of the world at large. Such an action is called service and sacrifice, yajnam. So yajna refers to, in the good old days, to the fire worship. In the good old days, the yajna is referring to the old ritual called fire worship of the Vedic period, where people, particularly Orthodox Hindus, still perform these homas, yajnas, in the different parts of India in temples. It has a deep philosophical significance, deep meaning and message about this concept of this ritual, which people do it in India. They rarely known to the practitioners. Even today, those who perform this ritual called fire worship are not aware of this symbolism or a symbolic significance behind this ritual. Hindus perform this religious ritual more out of blind faith, mechanically following out of blind faith, than understanding about their symbolic significance. So the yajna ritual is a worship of the fire god. That is the good old days ritual. So what they do, a mud or a brick walled trough. A brick walled trough is called kund. So the kund is first built. So a 4 brick walls with small, the haven kund is prepared. The priests place firewood in the kund and light it. So they put the firewood and then they give the spark to make it light. They sit around the fire starts shooting up. The priests sit around and chant prayers, and the large congregation assembles for the ritual. There are families, people around will be assembled around the fire kund. Each participant brings some grains or some kind of ghee from his home and deposits it in a common pile in one corner. While the priests chant, the participants one by one take the handful of grain from that pile and offer it to the fire with a prayer chanting. The ghee or clarified butter can also be used as an offering. So they put that offering to the fire. Thus the ritual continues until the entire stock of grain is exhausted, burnt away. When the grain is offered to the fire, the flames shoot up, and this symbolizes a blessing from fire god bestowed upon the participants, as if the fire is blessing. When all the grain together with the fuel is completely burnt and reduced to ashes, the priests distribute the ashes to the participants as prasada, gift. They in turn smear the 3 stripes into by the ash on the forehead in 3 stripes. The yajna is concluded with a visit to the nearby temple in the sanctum sanctorum. You have to take the darshan, vision of the Lord. In Hinduism, the worship of God of fire, Agni, holds a great significance. The 5 elements the world is made up of: space, air, fire, water, and earth. This is what the world is made up of in order of the grossness. So fire is the first of these which can be seen. Space cannot be seen. Sound cannot be seen. The fire is the first element can be seen. It is therefore chosen as a symbol from the world to represent the unknown, unseen reality, the Supreme God, Brahman. So the God is alone, God is one. The Supreme God is called Brahman in Sanskrit, Atman in when it refers to individual, Brahman or Atman or the Supreme Self within you. It is therefore chosen as a symbol of the world to represent the unseen reality which transcends the world. So God is beyond the world. God is beyond this dvandvas, these personalities, these individualities, body, mind, intellect. So the entire yajna symbolizes how human activities, every human being is performing activities. The ingenious method is implemented how a human activities can be converted into a worship in their respective fields. So the Vyasa are given the new meaning, new message, how to convert every human activity into worship. That is called yajna. A person must eradicate his vasanas or desires to unveil, to uncover, to discover the self. Self is your mission in life. Discovery of the self is your ultimate goal of human life. But to reach the self, to discover the self, you must destroy your vasanas, your desires. And desires cannot be reduced, desires cannot be eradicated without performing actions, and actions should be performed in the name of yajna. In the form of yajna means actions must be converted into worship for the cause, worship for the higher purpose. So you engage your activities in your field of interest, but the actions must be dedicated to the Supreme God, the Self. So one can do so by surrendering himself to a higher purpose in life, working without ego and egocentric desires and motives. When human being performs his actions without ego and egocentric desires, he is said to be performing yajnam, sacrificial actions, which takes him to the higher ideals, higher cause, the Supreme Self, by reducing his vasanas, desires. Human being minus desires is equal to God. God plus desire is equal to human being. Therefore, selfish and egocentric activities only produce more and more vasanas and desires and reduce your happiness in life. So the desires are the cause for mental agitations and stress and strain in life, and the propelling the activities with ego and egocentric desires is the cause for the suffering and sorrow in life. So the ingenious method of this fire worship symbolism, the ritual, is to convert these activities, human activities, into worship, into sacrificial action, which is acting for the higher cause, to render vasanas more spiritual and less worldly. One has to direct one's activities from those motivated by personal benefit to a higher cause. So you always think in terms of how can I use these activities for welfare of the world at large or achievement of the Supreme Self. A common goal, a higher purpose, a nobler ideal which takes care of this ego and egocentric desires reduction, and thereby you reduce your mental agitations and suffering, and you achieve happiness, ultimate state of enlightenment also. Then the actions will be blessed with the both material success, means you will be achieving what you wanted in life, as well as you get the peace of mind, inner peace. So the fire kund trough represents the field of activity. It is a symbolic representation. Could be a doctor in the profession of medicine is called field of activity. A lawyer in the field of law is called the kund, fire ritual. An offering of the grain to the kund symbolizes the offering of each individual's abilities and talents in his own field of activity for a common cause. So when you perform your activities by pouring your talents and your hard work and your activities, abilities into that higher purpose, everyone works in a spirit of surrender for a common cause, to that cause without entertaining selfish motives, selfish interests, selfish desires. Then you are performing yajna activities. This attitude renders the action spiritual. So there is no such thing called a spiritual activity separate from normal activity in terms of the type of actions. All actions can be converted into spiritual if you are able to change your focus of that activity, direction of that activity from propelling from ego and egocentric desires to dedicate them to the higher ideal, a nobler cause. It doesn't matter what field you are, what talents you have, what abilities you possess, what type of nature you are. It doesn't matter what is your present position, station, or occupation, or religion, or nationality. It matters if you are able to convert your present activities towards the higher cause, unselfish goal, a nobler ideal, then that action becomes spiritual. That action becomes noble. That action becomes sacrificial. That action becomes yajna, sacrificial action. This is the clarity one must understand through the what is the performance of yajna, fire worship means. So the very modus operandum, the action must be dedicated to the Supreme Self. That is the yajna, sacrificial action. So this attitude renders action spiritual without propelling ego and egocentric desires. The result of this particular way of functioning is the exhaustion of existing vasanas and desires. So your personality become free from the vasanas and desires, and burning of the fuel in the communal kund symbolizes this. When the fire is burning, the firewood means your vasanas are burnt away, desires are reduced, and the three stripes of the ash smeared on the forehead signify that you transcended, you crossed, you gone beyond the three gunas which you are made up of. Every human being is made up of. What are the three gunas? Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Sattvika, Rajas, and Tamas, this is the world made up of. So the moment you perform actions dedicated to the higher cause, which is yajna, without ego and egocentric desires, it reduces your vasanas and desires, thereby you go beyond sattva, rajas, and tamas. And vasanas entering into the temple represents reaching the enlightenment of God consciousness, self-consciousness, realization of the Supreme Self. So visiting the temple, visiting the Sanctum Sanctorum, the Lord's vision is nothing but merging with the Supreme Self by transcending these three gunas. So human being therefore attains his supreme state through yajnam, only through yajna. Yajna means actions you are anyway performing, you are anyway acting in your field morning, noon, and night helplessly. But the very idea of acting is only for the welfare of the higher cause, welfare of the world at large, to achievement of the Supreme Self. If you convert your very action into worship for the cause, then that very action is called yajnam. It doesn't matter what you do, but it matters how you do it. What you do it, that is the question. Therefore, human being attains the supreme state through yajna. Yajna activities alone, Lord Krishna time and again says, through yajna alone you evolve, you fulfill your mission in life, you fulfill your desires, you fulfill your success, you fulfill your material and spiritual well-being, you can get including enlightenment through yajna activities. Therefore, one must perform activities in the form of yajna. Thereby you exhaust the existing vasanas and unfold your divinity which is already within you. You are divine, no matter whether you are a sinner or saint. Divinity is the core of your personality. Divinity is your very essential nature. The quintessence of yourself is the Supreme God, the Atman. At this moment, it is completely blanketed, covered, obscured because of the vasanas, tendencies, desires, in the form of gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, covering this divinity within you. The only way to uncover, to discover, is the technique advised by Krishna, is called this worship of fire worship, which is yajnam, is sacrificial actions towards the higher cause. Thereby, you reduce your vasanas and discover the self and reach the supreme state. Right now, every human being is unaware of this way of functioning and always functions in terms of self-centered, selfish motives and desires and increasing vasanas, and thereby bound to this world and suffering and sorrows is experiencing. So, the human being therefore attains his supreme state through yajna. Yajna activities exhaust his existing vasanas and unfold the divinity. Conversely, non-yajna activities means selfish activities, personal interest activities, egocentric activities, activities performed for your personal interest, personal benefit, selfish interest. Such people create more and more vasanas, more and more desires, and bind themselves to the world and suffer. Krishna advises Arjuna to treat the battle of this world life as yajna and fight for the welfare of the people, welfare of the world. That must be the goal of your life. Then your actions becomes divine and it erases, exhausts your all vasanas and mental agitations and suffering, and you reach peace and happiness and success and enlightenment also in this very lifetime. This is the great advice one must learn and practice. First, one must have a fixation, a goal in life, a purpose in life, a cause in life, which is supposed to be a nobler, a cause beyond the personal selfish interest. Then only it is possible. That's why it is a basic necessity that your intellect must be fixed and strong on the purpose of life. Then there is a possibility to direct your activities towards that cause, thereby you reduce your desires and vasanas. Now we get on to the verse number 10. saha yajñah praja srishtva purovacha prajapatihi anena prasavishyadhvam yeshavosvishta kamadhuk saha yajñah praja srishtva purovacha prajapatihi anena prasavishyadhvam yeshavosvishta kamadhuk. The verse 10 translation. What is this verse 10? Now Lord Krishna is going to tell us about the creator. The creator means the Brahma, the supreme God, who is said to be the creator, having in the beginning created the mankind together with yajna, sacrifice. I'll come back again to explain. And he said, who said? The creator. The creator told, having in the beginning created the mankind together with yajna. This is what very interesting point. And said, creator told, by this means by yajna shall you propagate. Let this means yajna be the milch cow, kamadhenu, of your desired objects. Very interesting. How beautifully the concept of yajna is slowly entered by Lord Krishna, trying to inject into the human system. The creator, Prajapatihi, means the creator, having in the beginning created this mankind. So as if the human beings are created by the creator, just a poetic way of explaining. From the beginning of this world, from this beginning of this creation, there has been this concept of yajna ingrained and started along with the creation itself, embedded the yajna, sacrifice. And also told, by this means by through yajna you shall propagate, you shall evolve, and it becomes, yajna becomes the milch cow, means kamadhenu. The kamadhenu is the mythological cow. We'll get back to that. What is that mythological cow? Of your desired objects. So whatever objects of your desires or fulfillment of your desires, you must be hang on to this yajna. Once you perform yajna, you get the desired objects, you get the desires fulfilled. This is the point. So what is that this creator creating mankind and together with yajna we are going to understand. The true meaning of yajna is introduced in the preceding verse already. What is the yajna means? It's an action dedicated to the Supreme Self. Action dedicated to the higher cause is called yajna. Yajna means sacrificial actions dedicated to the higher ideal, a nobler ideal beyond ego and egocentric desires. Only human beings designed to perform yajna. No other creature is designed to perform yajna, because they have freedom of choice of action. The human being alone can think about the others' welfare, think about the human welfare, think about the beyond selfish and self-centered interests is the capacity of the human dignity and prestige. He alone can work for the higher ideal, a nobler cause, an unselfish goal, a supreme God, a Lord of higher God consciousness, a human being capable of conceiving, committing, fixing the goal and serving the goal. That's why the very greatness of human being is his own birth as a human being is the highest masterpiece of creation, because of the virtue of the freedom of choice of action which no other living being enjoys. He has provided with the powerful intellect to be able to distinguish what is the higher goal, what is the unselfish goal, what is the higher purpose, what is the selfish interest, what is personal interest. That distinction, that clarity of capacity to discriminate is the capacity given to human being alone. What is God, what is the world, what is the real, what is false, unreal, what is unselfish, what is selfish, what is impure, what is pure. The clarity has been provided to human being alone. Therefore, the very capacity to sacrifice is already given to mankind, human beings, from the very beginning of this creation. Alas, hardly anybody is using this great unique capacity provided to human beings. The only human beings have the capacity to sacrifice for their beyond their self-centered interests, for their purpose, for a higher cause. No other creature can even conceive it, think about it, able to much less make it such a sacrifice. Human beings alone enjoy this rare birthday gift is to serve and sacrifice. Unfortunately, human being alone fritters away, squanders away, leaves this great opportunity called the sacrifice, the yajnam. Through sacrifice, one gains the material prosperity. You wanted to achieve success, you want to achieve prosperity, you want to become rich. You have to think about the welfare of the business, customer, service, and sacrifice. You have to welfare of the work. You want to achieve the higher heights in your career. You must think in terms of what best I can do to the company, what best I can do to the company for company development, for world development, for the people development, for the community development. Then that type of attitude is called yajna, sacrifice, when you perform actions. It doesn't matter where you are and what you do. Through sacrifice, one gains material prosperity and mental peace also. You get peace of mind. No selfish person, no egoistic person can ever be found happy. And also, law of life is no unselfish person, no sacrificial person can ever be unhappy. Always service and sacrifice gives you smile on the face, happiness in your countenance, because of your attitude makes your health and happiness. Attitude is to, can I be of some help to others, can I be of some service to others, you come first. That is the attitude. Apre you, after you. This is the Bharat, this is the India, this is the greatness of the spiritual country, the whole world. India is on the top because of the ladder of spiritual service and sacrifice. This is the idea. Through the service and sacrifice, you gain material prosperity and the mental peace in the world. The verse dramatically presents this idea that the creator, the Lord Brahma, or the creator, when the creator created this world, the very yajna also embedded in the embedded system of creation in the human being as a seed, created the humanity together with yajna. Then declaring that by this yajna attitude you prosper, you propagate. It is like acting like a milch cow, kama dhenu, means the which provides the desired objects. So yajna activities are endowed Yajna activities are endowed with two distinct benefits. First, they increase your productivity and efficiency in your activity. Thereby, it provides success and prosperity, and you become more and more comfortable, rich. This is the first benefit of yajna, sacrificial action. When you perform your actions in the form of sacrifice, in the form of attitude of service and sacrifice, just a change of your angle of your vision, the modus operandi is, by performing the action, what I get out of it is called selfish action. By performing the same action, can the people get benefited by this action? Then it becomes unselfish sacrifice, yajna activity. This is the world of difference. The moment you have this kind of attitude of yajna, these yajna activities provides you productivity and prosperity. That is the first benefit. The higher the ideal you choose in life, the greater the goal of your life, the greater is your productivity and prosperity, and greater is your strength to perform and to be in potential in your work. So your potential to perform work increases day by day because of your goal is as higher as possible. If you are able to conceive and fix your ideal, your goal as the supreme God, the Atman, the self, your actions become the highest quality of selfless action. Thereby, your material prosperity and your productivity, your efficiency shoot up to the highest status because of the highest goal you have fixed for yourself. A higher ideal generates more energy, and more energy provides more capacity to perform the work. Then you produce more, your productivity increases more and more. Thereby you prosper. So the prosperity is directly proportional to your efforts, your actions, and actions you can perform only when you have energy, and the energy you can generate only when you are able to execute your actions for the higher ideal, a nobler cause, a goal beyond your personal selfish interests. Thereby, your energies are preserved and increased. That energies will provide productivity, efficiency. Thereby, you become prosper, and thereby you become more energetic, more prosperity. Thereby, you reach the higher heights of evolution in the riches. Second reason, second benefit of these sacrificial actions, the yajna activities, when you identify with the higher cause, when you understand a nobler goal, an unselfish cause, the desires pertaining to the lower interest strata, the personal interest, the egoistic interest, the selfish interest, automatically reduce, automatically diminish, automatically fall off. So when you work for the welfare of the world, welfare of the company, your personal interests and personal desires naturally drop off. Like a married person, like a mother, when she thinks in terms of family welfare, she hardly thinks about her personal interests of what she is eating, what she is wearing, all these things, what she had when she was before marriage. The personal interest, personal desire will be displaced by motherhood, working for the welfare of the family. Family is the higher and nobler cause than personal interests. Similarly, when you work for the higher cause, a nobler ideal, unselfish goal, highest supreme self, like Hanumanji, his personal interest, personal name, personal fame, personal power, personal selfishness, automatically those desires diminish and reduce. It's a natural law, fall off. By aspiring for the highest goal of self-realization, God realization, reaching the enlightenment, reaching the immortality, reaching the God consciousness, you move up to the highest stratum, greatest position you reach. Thus, by gradual escalation to the higher and higher goals in life, in conjunction with your capacity, commensurate with your efforts, and able to perform sacrifice, you rise above all your desires for the pertaining to this world and your ego and egocentric nature. All desires fall off. Then you gain mental peace and bliss. So the peace and happiness is the second benefit. Prosperity and richness and success is the first benefit. These two benefits you cannot be able to achieve without sacrificial actions, without actions in yajna attitude, attitude of service and sacrifice. Then alone will lead you to this kind of success and prosperity, which every human being today looking for, aspiring for, interested in, constantly chasing this world. Every human being from the day when he is born till the day he pass away, he is running after these two things in life, which is prosperity and peace, success and peace. But you hardly find people are successful are not happy, and people who are happy not successful. This rare combination, the rare connection, rare combination of peace and success is elusive thing today for a common man because of lack of this great technique advised by Lord Krishna in this verse, yajnam. Through yajna alone you achieve this, but hardly any human being aware of it. Having aware, they are not able to understand it. Having understood, they are not able to implement it. Having implemented, they are not able to consistent in it. Having consistently able to perform, they are able to only achieve this success and prosperity in this very lifetime. Therefore, so the only way the human being alone has to understand and perform his life, which is the activities dedicated to the higher cause. Now come back to this milch cow. What is this Kamadhenu? The Kamadhenu refers to the mythological cow, just a symbolic cow of the sage Vasishtha. Vasishtha is the great rishi, great enlightened master called, which he used to have Kamadhenu in the mythological cow. In the myth, Kamadhenu is endowed with certain divine qualities. It has the ability to grant any wish. It is ability to fulfill any wish, any desire asked by the participant, the request given to the Kamadhenu, milch cow, which is nothing but a symbolic scientific significance that if you want to fulfill any desire, the only way to fulfill the desire is to actions, to function in terms of yajna. Yajna activities are the only way which are compared to the cow. Cow, the Kamadhenu, cow in this sense, they will also satisfy all desires and thus give you peace. So the sacrificial action dedicated to the higher cause, unselfish cause, a nobler ideal without ego and egocentric desires alone help you to fulfill your desires, to fulfill your goals, to satisfy your interests, to achieve whatever the object of desire you want. A person is interested in car, bungalow, house, flat, family, wife, children. Every human being is running after the world, functioning in the world for the fulfillment of these desires. But you cannot enjoy, you cannot fulfill these desires until unless you learn to execute your activities in the form of service and sacrifice for your company, for your in your field of activity, in your field of your interest. It could be medicine or engineering or law or business or profession, you must consider that as a higher purpose, a nobler cause. Then alone your desires of, if you function working hard in terms of service and sacrifice, it's a question of time. That area, that way of functioning becomes the cow, kamadhenu, and provides you the desired objects and also provides you peace of the mind, which is what this milch cow kamadhenu symbolically represented. The desires, the selfishness, this ego is the bacteria. You see the bacteria, the moment you cut a bacteria into two pieces, it becomes two bacteria. So people breeding desires, developing more and more desires innocently, ignorantly, because they are not able to understand fulfilling of the desire is not the reduction of desire. Reduction of desire is not satisfying the desires. They multiply fast, they multiply more, they become more and more. If not checked, if not controlled, if not understood, if not applied your intellect over the mind's desires, they become bacteria. They cause the diseases of the mind. The mind gets agitated as a result of unfulfilled desires, and more unfulfilled desires, more agitations, more sorrow and more suffering. This is the law of life. So desires produce mental agitations and sorrow. They ruin your concentration, they ruin your productivity, they destroy your efficiency, they destroy your abilities. Everything goes down because of your desires, selfish desires, egocentric desires. Realize the nature of your desires, understand what type of desires you are entertaining, observe those desires, analyze those desires, understand and examine those desires. The desires are the root cause for suffering and sorrow. And pitch up a higher ideal, fix a higher goal with your intellect above these desires. Means thinking in terms of family welfare or community welfare or company welfare or social welfare or business welfare or world welfare of the world or achievement of the supreme self, as higher as you can conceive and fix. Do not let your selfish desires interfere with the path of your chosen ideal. Never allow any selfish desire interfering with that nobler ideal. Let your intellect, not your desires, guide your actions. Your actions must be propelled by intellect, not the mind's ego and egocentric desires. Then work tirelessly, consistently, and you will achieve prosperity and peace. The unrelenting law of nature, infallible law of nature is that you get what you deserve, not what you desire. People running after the desire and desiring, not aware of that you get in life what you deserve, not what you desire. So you must only deserve, never desire. If you are smart, you don't have to desire anything. You get everything because of your capacity to sacrifice increasing in a particular technical way, in a particular field of interest to the welfare of the community at large, and committed to work tirelessly. It automatically opens up and takes you to the highest levels of productivity and peace. Therefore, desire, never desire. Rise above the desires by strong intellect, and the object of desires automatically reaching you. You get automatically whatever your wants and your desires. The moment you start desiring, the moment you start wishing and craving and desiring, yearning, asking, requesting, begging, the object of desire, the whatever the objects you wanted, they will never reach you, they will leave you. You will never be able to success. Continue the work, continue your actions selflessly, unselfishly. The higher ideal and yajna in the name of spirit of service and sacrifice alone will give you both material and spiritual benefits, will be showered automatically. That is the law. Nobody can change it. Even God cannot change this law. So human being alone is endowed this capacity from the day one, and he himself has to understand and execute activities in the form of service and sacrifice to fulfill his mission in life, to fulfill the achievement of the enlightenment, as well as success and prosperity in this lifetime. These are the only way a human being is designed to achieve, and human being alone can fulfill his mission. Thank you very much. We will continue in the next class. Hari Om.